Hello and welcome everyone to Career Shades once again. And today we are going to talk about making career in psychology. For this, we have Mrs. Avisha Peters with us. She has been working as a counseling psychologist and is right now working as a psychology professor. So, ma'am, as we know that nowadays mental health is one thing that is being considered. Although there are a lot of areas still where it's considered a taboo, but I guess that's one reason that we are seeing so much growth in psychology or maybe mental health counseling or fields like that, right? So, have you? My question to you is basically that have you ever encountered any case where people were reluctant, and you have faced difficulties doing these kind of sessions with people because of the stigmas and taboos attached with these kind of fields, like people are not willing to go for mental health counseling or something like that? Would you like to share some of the incidents like that?
Oh, many times. I've had quite a few cases like that. And usually these cases, it came from my experience as working in corporate. So what usually happens there is the HR, they usually send the employees there to a counselor or psychologist so that, we can help them out. And now
Right.
the employees, what they say is कि हमें तो कोई problem नहीं है,
Right.
फालतू में ऑफिस में यहाँ पे भेज दिया है हमको. So you would have to be very patient with them. You would first of all have to assure them that whatever is
Right.
spoken here in between these four walls is going to stay here. You have to give them that assurance of confidentiality.
Right.
And usually what I have experienced is that once they understand this, that whatever they say is going to be confidential, it will not go into the ears of the company, because I personally have a very strict policy that I will never ever share whatever details is shared with the company.
Right.
Even if the company says that, can you tell us what's the problem is with the employee, I will not, because it's a very strong ethic that the psychologists have to
Right.
follow.
Right.
Otherwise no client will trust you. वही
True.
बोलेंगे कि तो बॉस को जाके चुगली कर देता है ये psychologist.
Right.
So, and of course, beyond that, you have to exude, what do I say, a aura of genuineness. In client-centered therapy, which I follow, it's very
Right.
important that you showcase yourself as a genuine person. You don't need, which means that just be yourself. And also, another thing that's important is to set boundaries. You would have to forge a very close connection with your client, but at the same time you need to remember that there's a professional relationship between you two. You have to place certain boundaries, which means no disclosing of private personal information from the side of the psychologist. You can share your name, of course. You can share your past experience working as a counselor. It basically, because it forges a trust in the client that, okay, this counselor, this psychologist is experienced. What you cannot share is your own relationships. Some psychologists, especially female psychologists, they would share their own relationships. What
Right.
they want is to make the client see themselves more relatable. But what
Right.
it ends up doing is it ends up creating gossip sessions. I've
Right.
especially seen this happening in police stations. So the many police stations, they will call up counselors to do family counseling, and some counselors, they would really start bitching about their own mother-in-laws कि हाँ हाँ ये मेरे साथ भी हुआ है, ऐसा ऐसा मेरी मेरी भी सास ऐसा
Right.
करती है. And this is not professional at all. This counselors are not supposed to do that. So, or any psychology students who are watching this, I would just recommend you to please maintain that professionalism in your tone of voice, in your body language, everything basically.
Right.
Otherwise, you just have to remember that your client is your client. They are not your friend. Even though you have to be friendly towards them, just don't be their friend.
Right, I get it. So
Yeah,
one thing that I can, just take out of this conversation is first you have to be really patient and you have to be really
exactly.
professional and have to set your boundaries as well. So what other skill set do you think is required to be into this field?
I would say is that a psychologist should know their own limits.
Okay.
Unfortunately, many psychology students are under the notion that a psychologist have to be open towards every experience, open towards everyone. No matter what kind of a client comes in, they have to accept them. No, you don't have to. For example, let's say you as a psychologist are not very comfortable with taking on homosexual persons as your clients.
Okay.
Now, does that mean that that you're not a good psychologist? I wouldn't say so. You would be a bad psychologist only if you take this homosexual client as your client and then try to counsel them. You will not
Right.
do a good job, I guarantee you that. What you can do instead is You can let them know very politely that I'm not the right person for this job. There's nothing absolutely wrong with you. It's just I'm not the right person for this job. But I will
Right.
recommend you to a psychologist who is the right person for this job, and you send the client on their way. So know
Right.
your limits, know what kind of clients you're comfortable with, know what kind of clients you're not comfortable with. It's not your job to, be, what should I say, to accept every client for who they are. We are human
Right.
beings. We are not able to do that. Maybe it's your faith, your religion, or whatever it is. It's not allowing you to count to accept this client wholly as you should, because acceptance is a very big part of counseling and
Right.
therapy. And if you're not able to that, it's okay. Just accept it and just recommend the client to another counselor or psychologist. And the burden is off your back as well. And the client will also get the proper help that they need.
Right. So, ma'am, as you said, that things can actually go a little difficult sometimes. You might face clients or have clients that you don't want to counsel, or maybe sometimes it might also happen that you take away some clients, and when you actually starts giving them therapies or counseling sessions, you yourself might feel that maybe this person is something that I'm not able to handle. Does it happen,
Hmm.
or did it ever happen to
It
you?
does. It does quite a lot. I had once this client. She was actually a case that I was very young at that time. I mean, I'm still quite young, but that time I was
Yeah.
even more younger. It was one of my first starting cases, and this case scared me a lot. So she was a student. She was preparing for NEET, and she used to self harm herself, and she used to dissociate. So what used to happen with her was that while she was studying, and if she ever gets stuck somewhere, then she would get extreme anxiety, and that anxiety, what would happen was that she would dissociate for 1 or 2 hours. She would just float away from her own consciousness, and then when she would come back, she would remember absolutely nothing.
Oh.
And sometimes when she would come back, she would find these scratches on her wrist, on her arms.
Oh. Oh my God.
So when I heard this case, I was absolutely flabbergasted that how do I handle this case? I'm not at all
Right.
experienced for this. So I let my management know that I have this case, and I believe it's a extremely dangerous case. She is showing all the suicidal tendencies and everything. And I want to recommend this case up to a psychiatrist. The management heard me, and the case went up to a psychiatrist. So you
Okay.
have to know that if you are not able to, like, manage a client, it's okay. You have to recommend the case up. Don't don't think yourself as, oh, if I try more, I might be able to do it. No, this is sometimes it's really the question of life and death. At least for
Right.
this client it was,
Right.
because this client was a very serious case. I immediately recognized that I'm not the right person for this job, and I recommended the case up.
Right. So, ma'am, as we heard this case, and there might be a lot of cases, those might have taken a serious toll on your mental health as well. So, how do you deal with those kind of situations exactly? Like, it's a serious job. You have to go through a lot every day. So, how do you handle that pressure?
When I was just starting out, I was not able to easily, actually, because you absorb a lot of feelings
Right.
from your client, and then they affect your whole day. And my shift used to be during night time, the graveyard hours. The,
Okay.
let's say, your 12 a.m. to 4 a.m., they are your graveyard hours, and it's during this time
Right.
you get the most serious and the most
True.
out of normal cases. So my whole day used to be ruined. I used to have severe sleeping issues and everything. And eventually, what I decided was I took a small break, and I looked all within myself, and tried to think that what issues is going on with me, and what was going on with me, that I was not able to set boundaries. I used to extend myself thin for my clients, and in that, I didn't take care of myself. So I decided that from now on, I am going to put strict boundaries that I would enforce on my clients. That, for example, I would let my clients call me at any time, because I was at that time under the notion that a counselor psychologist has to be available all the time for their clients. I decided that no, I will make myself available only for suicidal cases, because there I understand the protocol there is that you have to call your suicidal clients once a day.
Okay.
And I also decided for myself that I would not be taking too many suicidal clients on me. Like, I had limited the case number of cases, because if I took on too many, it would take a toll on my mental health. So that's what I would suggest. Set boundaries for yourself. Spend time outside your, like, don't make counseling and therapy your whole life.
Right.
Spend some time with yourself, your family, your friends. Go out, be one with nature. And I used to especially work from home. Now, work from home, it comes with its own set of mental health issues, because your home is supposed to be one place where your office worries don't follow you there. But when you're working from home, you are basically eroding that line between your work and your resting time. So
Right.
I added one more rule for myself, that I would work in my workroom and I would keep my resting room separate. I would keep
Okay.
these, if I, at least I can, make two separate rooms for that. So I had a separate room for working and I had a separate room for sleeping and doing all my leisure activities. If
Right.
psychology students, if you don't have that, privilege like I had for having many rooms to use, what you can do is, if you have just one room, designate your desk as your working place and your bed and your floor or another table or whatever as the place where you will rest, sleep, and have some food and leisure activities. And keep all your work things just limited to that one work desk. It will help a lot, I assure you.
Right. I got it. So, ma'am, actually, that was it. We actually got a lot of good insights from your side. At last, I would like to ask you, would you like to give any piece of advice to the students who are looking forward to make career in this field of psychology?
So I have for quite a while I've worked as a assistant professor in psychology, and what I've noticed in the present students is that you guys are not disciplined enough. You guys don't understand the value of time enough. And it's very important for you to do that,
Right.
like it's these small things that you learn at college that take, that are with you for a long time. I would suggest that if you're a college student, it's not what you learn in your books, it's not that they are not the important things. Important things is these small little things that you pick up, like submitting your practicals on time, studying, reading your syllabus, actually going
Right.
beyond your syllabus, trying finding opportunities for yourself, participating in activities. These things are really important. Pick up these socializing skills and communicative skills and, like, disciplinary skills. They will take you far. So that's what I would suggest. Don't stay at home, because what I've noticed that post pandemic students don't come to college that much.
Right.
They think that we'll stay at home, we will just read from the Google, because now eGAN, Coach, and all these places have notes very easily available. So
Right.
students, what they do is they just mug up these notes and they vomit it out in the question answer sheet. And that's not how you're going to be a psychologist. You actually have to come to college, talk with your professors, participate in events, and that's how you are going to make it in this field. Talking with people is important, and you're not going to do that if you stay
Right.
home. So that's my one tip to students, especially if you're college students, that go out, have good attendance in your college. It's really important. I'm not just saying this as a professor, but also as a person who has been a student.
Right.
Yeah, so that's my one tip to you guys, and I just wish you guys all the best. I mean, it's not going to be easy, but it's very
Yeah.
fulfilling job. You That's all I'll say.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. That was a wonderful session with you, and I hope you enjoyed it too.
Thank you. I enjoyed it very much. You're a wonderful interviewer.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And thanks again for giving us your precious time. And we'll end the interview here. We won't take much of your time. And I hope my students got really good insights about psychology as a field. And if you guys have any doubts, any queries, you can always comment and you can just join our community as well. And we will be glad to answer your questions. So that was it for today. We'll see you next time. Till then, take care.